Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well on this Monday. Oh boy, listen to my voice. Can't shake this cold, and it's not gotten me down. It's not, precluding me from working or feeling good or anything like that. I just can't get rid of this. So I apologize for that if my voice sounds a little different. That's probably why. It's not a plan. I'm not trying to change my voice. I don't like my voice. I think a lot of people have that issue. But bottom line is, I guess you can hear me, so we're good to go. Let's do this. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me here on the free Fantasy Sports Daily Show powered by FantasyGuru.com. We're here Monday through Friday to help you out. On Mondays, we talk baseball all show long. We go about an hour each day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we talk basketball, we talk football, and baseball. Usually it's baseball the first half hour, and then a guest comes in about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Usually it's Aranda Marsal on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Tyler Beaker on Thursdays, and Russell Clay on Fridays. So we've been doing, if you missed it, you can always catch the show on demand. We've been doing a review with Tyler and Russell of all the rookies the last 2 weeks. We did all the rookie quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. So you can check that out Thursday and Friday the last couple of weeks. I'm with you every day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So not every day. I misspoke. I'm with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Jonathan Pressman's with you Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show. So this show is 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Then Jeff show is on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, the Elite Sports Show, from 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. I'm on with Jeff on Wednesdays. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all week long, Elite Sports Game Time is there with me and Justin Fensterman at 8 to 10 Eastern. So you're here with us for free at 12, 3 o'clock on SiriusXM with Jeff, 8 o'clock with Justin and I on SiriusXM. Hopefully you have a good time checking out all three shows. Remember, before we dive into what we're talking about today, it's time, folks. If you haven't got signed up, what are you waiting for? One low price, all the baseball coverage we've got at FantasyGuru.com. It's live right now. Get signed up. You get all the seasonal baseball coverage, all the DFS baseball coverage, all the wagering baseball coverage, all of it. One low price, $75. Boom, you're done. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Click the subscribe tab on the top of the right top of the page, or again, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Get signed up. If you already have one of the three products, or maybe two of the three products, you want to get that third one, support at FantasyGuru.com will cover you. And remember, as I've said here, everything baseball that we do, so that's every podcast that we do, every live stream if we do, every article, chat room discussions for all three, everything we do. So check it out over at FantasyGuru.com. It's a pretty good product. We're having a pretty good amount of success here. We always have Ted Schuster doing his DFS breakdowns. And for those people that haven't been paying attention, he's been averaging like 100 points in the core four each week. That's amazing. Check it out over at FantasyGuru.com. All right, what are we talking about today? Let's throw that up on the screen. For those of you wondering, throw it up on the screen, as I say all the time. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuru site, YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. In all three of those locations, you can watch the show live or see it on demand, but you can watch it. And in those three spots, you can also leave a comment or question as we're doing the show live, and we can discuss that on the air. That's another reason why it's kind of cool to have a discussion here. See, Tony W. Ray, your voice is fine. Just keep giving good baseball advice. Well, I'll try, Tony. I appreciate that. Thank you. As you can see there, an example, you get your little picture on the screen too, if you do that. If you just listen to us on podcast form, totally fine. Type in Fantasy Sports Daily to your podcast network. You can also go to FantasyGuru.com and just click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Nice and simple. Takes you all the shows we have on the Elite Plus network. There's on the screen, we got some news and notes to talk about before we dive into FAAB on Mondays. We spent a lot of time on this show talking FAAB in three leagues, FSGA, LABR, and TOUT WARS. We'll talk about all three of those leagues coming up here in a bit. The three expert leagues, who spent what on whom, kind of give you a sense of where the people are thinking these guys. A lot of the players obviously might be available in your league, or maybe people are thinking about adding them. We'll see. Are people adding these players at 3% of their budget, 10% of their budget, 15% of their budget? We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then we'll have, before that, some baseball discussion overall. Jordan Lawlar, Jake Berger, let's go. The Pirates, Justin Martinez, Nick Kurtz, Jonathan Aranda, Christian Walker, and Xavier Edwards. So let's get into it right now. Let's go. Jordan Lawlar is coming up And this is a player that we have talked about on this show repeatedly. This is a player who we have written about over at fantasyguru.com. It's a player who I've discussed in Discord at fantasyguru.com. It's a player who I've added myself in leagues here. The fact is that Jordan Lawlar is simply too talented to be in the minors for long term. It is kind of strange the way that the Diamondbacks chose to call him up after Ketel Marte returned, because Lawlar was down on the farm, he was killing it, and the expectation was that, you know, if one of these guys goes down, Lawlar will be the first call up. Fine that they weren't calling him up, but I mean, look at these numbers. He's hitting 336. He's got a 400 on base percentage. He's got a 580 slugging percentage. He's got 6 home runs and 13 steals in 37 games. He's killed it. He's absolutely killed it. So here, be that as it may, he's coming up now. Now the question obviously becomes what happens here, because again, it's easy to put Lawlar in the lineup if Ketel Marte is out. Now that he's back, how do we make this work? I read an article talking about this. It had quotes from Toy Lavolo, the manager, and everything like this. And basically, Lavolo said, look, we want impact offensive players on this team. Lawlar is an impact offensive player. Absolutely. Everyone agrees with that. He's a top 10 prospect in all of baseball. Last season was a total disaster because of injury, just constant injuries with him. But he's an elite player that has the potential to one day be a 30-30 guy at the big league level, like a superstar in the fantasy space. So they want him up because they want an impact player. Get it. Lavolo talked about, you know, what about the defensive piece? Like, where are we going to play this guy? Is he going to be able to handle if we move him around a little bit? And I guess the Diamondbacks have made the decision that, yes, indeed, they're going to be able to move him around. He's going to be able to handle this. So what this really does, unfortunately, at this point in time, is Lawlar's a must-add. If he's on your waiver wire, go get him. No doubt about that. He is the most exciting player, you know, even with, you talk about guys like Pavin Smith, Geraldo Perdomo, and Eugenio Suarez. The most exciting player is Lawlar. I'm not saying he's going to be the most productive player. He's absolutely the most exciting player. It sounds like the plan right now is for Lawlar to play 4 days a week, which sucks. So again, we're adding Lawlar because if there's an injury or he starts out hot here, they're not keeping a 30-30 guy on the bench for Perdomo. It's just not doing it. I know they gave Perdomo a contract extension. I know he's done a really good job thus far. I know he's hit second in the order a lot. Lawlar's simply better, period. Okay. When Eugenio Suarez has one of the streaks where he goes 3 for 22, now we got a guy to turn to. Pavin Smith can obviously hit righties, but lefties, so there's a platoon scenario there. So the bottom line is it sounds like the Diamondbacks have the intention currently of playing Lawlar basically 4 times a week and at multiple positions. So he's going to come up so shortstop eligible. Sounds like he might pick up second base, third base. You know, he might be in the DH spot, though. Of course, that's not exciting in fantasy. But the bottom line is he's likely to play 4 times a week. It also means guys like Smith and Perdomo and Suarez might lose a little bit. Suarez probably loses the least because they know what they've got in him. He's a 25, 30 home run, 90 RBI guy. They know that. Perdomo's a very good player, but he really shouldn't be playing every day if you're trying to win a division, in my opinion. Pavin Smith, same thing, right? So he already isn't because he's a platoon guy. So kind of dings Pavin Smith, kind of dings Perdomo, probably dings Suarez a slight bit. And it doesn't help Lawlar to be a must start right now. So again, I'm adding Lawlar if he's available. I'm not planning on starting him. I have him in 1 league already. I drafted him. I had him forever. I had him in 2 leagues actually. And I take that back. He's in I have my keeper league, and then is it FSGA? Let's take a look at my team here before I misspeak. Yeah, the FSGA league. I already have Lawlar. Adam, I'm not starting him this week. We just got to see how the playing time is going to shake out. Sounds, unfortunately, according to that report by Nick Vaccaro, that it might just be messy for a while. And that's unfortunate. But there's obviously huge potential here for him to be a significant fantasy force. Okay, let's talk about Jake Burger. And I've already gotten the Jake Burger question. Do we add Jake Burger? As I've said all along, you and I are in different setups, different styles of leagues. I own Jake Burger in multiple leagues. I didn't even consider for 1 second dropping him. But I'm in 14 and 15 team leagues. When you're in a 10-team head-to-head league, as I say all the time, you don't get any reward for holding on to a player. In fact, you often get a negative because you're taking zeros while you need to win right now. Burger went down to the farm. Sounds like he's going to be promoted today. Went down on the farm, and exactly as we discussed here on this show, almost exactly. It's going to go one of 2 ways with Burger. He's going to go down there and he's going to stink because his swing is just jacked, or he's going to go down there and he's going to crush it and they're going to call him back quickly. He went down, he played 6 games, 2 home runs, has a 690 slugging percentage, 391 batting average, and he's back. So Berger, let's not forget, multi-position eligible corner infield, first and third. Averaging 30 home runs the last couple of years, was in a complete funk, disastrous start to the season. Too good to be that guy. He's not a 290 hitter. He's very much like Eugenio Suarez, right? Like if it goes well, he hits 250. If it goes poorly, he hits 226. But he should be hitting 28 home runs, 30 home runs. So Berger will be back now, and here we go. Blaine Crim, I don't know what they called him up and haven't been playing him. I don't know what. I haven't seen the move the team's going to make yet. I assume it's Crim that goes back down to the minors. We'll see. But yeah, I don't understand why they called him up. Crim actually won their minor league player of the month award, and they called him up, and then they didn't really play him. It's just weird. I don't know what the Rangers are doing. They're one of these teams that's trying to find things. Bottom line is Berger's back. He's not going to come back to sit on the bench. If he's on the waiver wire, I think in most leagues he's worth an addition. Again, in a 10-team league, it depends what categories you're looking to fill. It depends what positions you're needing to fill. But I think in a lot of leagues he's an add. If he's been dropped, and he likely should have been dropped because, again, 10-team head-to-head leagues don't reward patience. Let's talk a little bit about the Pirates. The Pirates and the Rockies. We talked about the Pirates last week. They fired their manager. The Rockies just fired their manager on Sunday. Bud Black is out. Mike Redmond is out. The Rockies are 7-33. Quarter of the way through this season, they're basically on pace to win 30 games. Catastrophic failure by the organization. Can't fire the players. I get it. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. Maybe it was time to move on from Bud Black, but you run into this all the time in sports. Like firing the manager is the thing to do. The Rockies suck. Number one, they suck. Number two, their talent evaluation over the last decade has not been good. And number three, none of us, as we've talked about on the show, have an understanding of what their plan really is. Like they promote, demote. Like, what's your plan? This team is terrible right now. And again, we've talked about this, Zach Veen being a perfect example. Zach Veen should be playing every day for this team. They're 7-33. They're horrendous. Get him in the lineup every day. Let him get an entire year of experience at the big league level. Let him go through the ups and downs. Let's go. Let's see if this guy is indeed an answer to your long-term question of can he play in the outfield as an everyday player? Can they do that? They've shown no willingness to do that. Let's pull up Jordan Beck, who's done the up-down thing himself. Jordan Beck right now, he's hitting 273 with an 886 OPS, really good. As we discussed earlier with Beck, the real huge key with him is making contact. His strikeout rate is 29%, which is bad. But I think the last time we talked about this was 36%. So he's done a much better job of late making contact. He should be in this lineup every single day. Zach Veen should be in this lineup every single day. What are they doing? Like, what are they doing? So you got Beck, Doyle, and Veen should be your outfield. Mickey Moniak, like, what are you doing? Mickey Moniak's 27 years old, and he's fine. He's a bench guy. You want to use him as a platoon. But why is Mickey Moniak stopping Shane Veen from being in this lineup on a daily basis? Why is Nick Martini stopping Shane Veen from being in this lineup on a consistent basis? By the way, let's pull up Shane Veen or Zach Veen, excuse me. I got my first names. Zach Veen down the farm this year, and Veen was terrible. 38% strikeout rate with the big leagues. Remember, that's terrible. I'm not saying he wasn't bad. It's also 12 games. He's played 20 games down at the minor league level. He's batting 300 with a 350 on-base percentage and a 530 slugging. I don't know what the Rockies are doing. I don't get it. Let's hope that Veen gets called up at some point and gets an opportunity. Now, going back to the Pirates, I didn't patent or come up with an idea. This is not the first person to ever say this, but I've spoken a lot this year about tandem bullpens, about handcuffing your closer. Talked a lot about that in the preseason, wrote an article about it. We talked about it here on the show. And one of those scenarios where it's played out that way is the Bednar-Santana situation with the Pirates. I've seen people complaining about Bednar, which I understand. I've seen people dropping Santana because I think Bednar's back, which I understand. Where are we at, though? Like, remember, the Pirates are changing their manager here. So there's a new set of eyes in charge of making these decisions. Santana threw a scoreless ninth inning the last time out. Okay. Now, Santana was brought in to face the bottom third of the order against the Braves. So it seems like Bednar's the guy they want to go with when the matchup is more difficult. But when is the 3, 4, and 5 hitter up in the ninth inning? What if it's the 7, 8, 9? And this is why, again, saves leagues, I don't like them, because number one, we have to figure out how the team is running things. And number two, we have to figure out if the team really has a plan. And number three, we have no certainty on what the game situation is going to be. We have no idea if the 3, 4, 5 are coming up in the 9th, or if the 7, 8, and 9 are coming up. No one knows that. It's impossible to know that. So both Santana and Bednar in Souls leagues are kind of equal-ish. I've said all along, I still believe Bednar leads the Pirates in saves, but I don't know. And I will say this, that, for those people that have had Bednar and I dropped Santana, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that, because there is no clarity on how this is going to play out. But for those of you in regular traditional saves leagues, both Santana and Bednar have to be owned by somebody. Again, Bednar would be my choice, but that doesn't preclude Santana from still leading the team in saves or getting 15 of them this year. So be cautious if he's on the waiver wire, even though he hasn't pitched great and doesn't profile as the dominant force in the 9th inning. The guy who does profile potentially as the dominant force in the 9th inning is Justin Martinez. The Diamondbacks can't get their bullpen healthy. We all know that. Shelby Miller is the guy that's ascending right now. They're hoping to have AJ Puck back at the end of next month. I think that's a hope. We'll see if it comes to fruition. He's dealing with a forearm issue. Martinez got a shoulder issue. They haven't really been able to figure out, based upon the news we've been given, what's going on with Martinez. We do know that there's nothing structurally wrong. His shoulder's not jacked. There's nothing structurally wrong. He just kind of not been feeling right. The velocity's been down a little bit. He threw a bullpen yesterday and came out of it saying, I feel great. Really good news. So, he's eligible to return, I think, at the end of this week, from the injury list. Sounds like it might happen. So as early as next week, Justin Martinez could be back working the 9th inning. Remember that, what did he get, like a 6-year, 4-year contract? What did Martinez get? He signed that contract extension this offseason. 5 years, $18 million. Now it's $18 million over 5 years, but they signed him to a 5-year deal at 23 years of age. They have legitimate plans for this guy to be a significant part of this bullpen moving forward. Shelby Miller's really good, but he's an aging guy who's hurt all the time. So Justin Martinez, very, very possible. He's closing games, I guess, as early as next week for the Diamondbacks. Nick Kurtz, since we're talking rookies, Nick Kurtz went over 3. He, jammed his glove hand into Orlando Cabrera when they were at first base, kind of a mini collision there. We didn't really get the sense that that's an injury. Maybe he got a little nicked up or whatever. Not a real injury that's going to cause him to go to the injured list. Again, that's what we know now. 9:20 on a Monday morning. But let's just do a review of Nick Kurtz, because again, this is the thing that I always surprises me with people. Always surprises me with people. Kurtz has played 16 games, as we talk about all the time. That's not enough data to make a determination on a player, number one. Number two, when a rookie gets promoted to the big leagues and they play 16 games, we can talk all the time about where this guy's going to be in 3 years. It's hard, the adjustments and all that kind of stuff. Kurtz has not been very good. He's hitting 269, which we'll take. 322 on base percentage. It's a little low based upon expectations, but the 327 slugging is obviously terrible. That's the real issue. He's not driven the baseball. In 16 games and 59 plate appearances, he has 0 home runs. And not only does he have 0 home runs, he's got a 39% strikeout rate, which is catastrophic. If you have Kurtz, you can't drop him. To me, if you're going to add Kurtz, you have to give him time. The A's have shown no inclination at the moment to bench him, to demote him. If they do make that decision, we will react. But right now, if you added Kurtz, and I didn't anywhere, but if you did, you probably spent a good chunk of your dough, a waiver priority to add him. You got to let this play out. 59 plate appearances is not enough time to draw a firm conclusion. The early returns, though, are very poor. I will say that, this is, again, completely in the realm of the expected. It's why I say to all of you all the time, and I see this all the time in Discord, people say, I need to make a move, and you're dropping one rookie to add another rookie. Add a player, add the known. Play the game of what is, not the game of what could be. Okay? I'll say it again. Play the game of what is, not what could be. If you play the game of what is, you have a much better chance of winning in fantasy, no matter what fantasy sport you're playing, than the game of what could be. Yeah, Nick Kurtz could be an MVP candidate. Might be 5 years from now. Maybe he never gets there either. But we know expecting that from a rookie performer in year one. So that's my little take there on rookies, using him as an example. Jonathan Aranda, perfect example. Jonathan Aranda, who I think I took in the LABR draft in the 27th, 28th round. Again, this is a 15-team league, 30 roster spots, so much bigger than most of the leagues you're in. So even taking them in the 27th round there is, we're talking about pick 400 or something, and a lot of you are in leagues where you only take 250 players. Aranda was taken late, and Aranda has crushed, right? Nick Kurtz. Aranda went 3 for 4 on Sunday. I don't think anyone saw this level of success for Aranda happening. He's batting .342 with a .980 OPS. He has been one of the breakout stars of the first 7 weeks of the season. Now, he doesn't run. Aranda is not going to, play against all the lefties because the Rays do the platoon thing, so there are limits here, number one. Number two, he's obviously not a .340 hitter. I don't think he's a .300 hitter. Certainly not a .980 OPS guy. So this is as good as it's going to get, and it's going to pull back. At the same time, the longer this success goes with Aranda, the more likely it is that the Rays say, you know what, we're just going to play him against lefties and just leave him in the lineup. And there's really no reason for them not to do that. Most of their team is struggling to do anything in terms of oomph. Most of their team is struggling to even be very productive right now. I think they should just play Aranda every day. But even if they don't, he has been fantastic to date. He is somebody that I would be very comfortable as a corner infield play the rest of the way. Again, he's also somebody you could trade. Because again, .340, .980, if he hits .290 with an .850, that's fantastic. Fantastic. And he's miles away from that right now. So be very cautious with expectations with Aranda. But whatever it is, you drafted him in the last round, you picked him up off the waiver wire the first week, whatever it might be, he's strongly giving the impression of a guy that's going to pay off in a significant way in 2025. Christian Walker's another guy who's starting to pay off. We talked a lot about Walker, a lot of it in the Discord over at FG. Started really slowly. Obviously had the side issue that cost him most of camp, and he came into the season less than 100% and didn't have a bunch of games under his belt. He's hitting .300 with a couple of home runs his last 17 games. So this is finally starting to happen now. Of course, the Astros have got to beat up Jose Altuve that's expected to play this week. He's got the leg issue. They've got it on the injured list. Jordan Alvarez with that hand issue. Unclear if he's going to make it back this week or not. So the Astros, but they're getting their big guy at first base, Christian Walker, going. I can't imagine he's on the waiver wire, but maybe he is. If he is, go grab him now before people start to realize he's found his stroke. I think I had a question last week about Christian Walker. I think so. He might be on the waiver wire in some of your leagues. So make a move there and add Christian Walker if he's available. Finally, before we talk some FAAB, wrong sport. Xavier Edwards, 2 for 4 on Sunday with a walk, a run scored, stole a base. And just wanted to touch in on him because he was one of the reasons why I was able to win the TOUT WARS League last year, because I was able to add him off the waiver wire, and he went on and stole 30 bases and had a .397 on base percentage. He was fantastic last year. Hasn't been that guy this year, as expected. I think we look at his 11 steals through 39 games, and that's a 40 steal pace. Totally fine with that. A little disappointing, hoping 50, 60. And he could, we talk about this all the time. You steals 3 bases the next 2 days, all of a sudden it looks different. A little bit low on expectations, but 40 plus steals we'll take. 259 batting average. I think there's room there for that number to grow to 279. I think with his speed and his overall hit tool, which is very good, I think that he's got a legitimate chance to hit 279, even 289 the rest of the way, 309 the rest of the way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he hit 300 the rest of the way, which gets him to 285 on the season. He's going to run. Still not going to drive the baseball. He's got 1 home run in 139 games. He's got 40 RBIs in 139 games. So I've seen guys like this come up a lot. Victor Scott, Xavier Edwards, Chandler Simpson. You just have to know who the player is and plan accordingly. Is Edwards off our expectations? Just a little bit. A hot week or two, he's right back on them. So again, no reason to panic or be nervous with him. But if you're disappointed in him, you need to reassess how you're evaluating players, because again, he's basically offered pretty much what should have been expected from him this season. Before we look at some FAAB, let's look at some questions and comments I see here. Ray, morning from Henry. What are your thoughts on Sandy Alcantara? Can you keep starting him? I think that Sandy Alcantara, again, the answer to this question depends completely upon your league setup. I was actually having this discussion with Rob Povia this morning. Alcantara should not be on the waiver wire. He should be added right now in all leagues, in my opinion. If you're in a 10-team league, there's absolutely no reason to start him right now. Even in a deeper league, 12-team, 14, 15, I would add Alcantara in every league I'm in if he was on the waiver wire. Would I be starting him this week? Let me verify who they're starting this week. against. I was looking at it this morning. I've already forgotten. He faces. Let me learn how to do things. He faces the Rays on Sunday. So it looks like they're going 6-man right now through this turn in the rotation. I'm not rushing to start him right now. To answer your question, Henry, no. I don't think he's a necessary start this week. I do think he's a necessary add to your roster if he's on the waiver wire. Lawlar might play 4 days a week, says Angelo. Yes, Angelo, we mentioned that earlier in the discussion on Lawlar. Correct. John G says Romano looked sharp last night. Yeah, Romano, who was terrible at the start of this, terrible. My gosh, was he awful, right? I had him in multiple leagues. I've dropped him and moved on since. Velocity's crept up, actually, and he's pitched pretty effectively of late, and he might be number 2 in the pecking order in the Phillies bullpen right now for saves. I mean, he really might be. So Alvarado's still the guy, but remember, Romano was brought in to be the guy. He's been the guy before. Sure seems healthy right now. Romano's a sneaky addition because, you know, one little blip on Alvarado's here health situation, and Romano might be the guy everyone's running to draft. Slim Shady says Jacob Mizowski was worth an ad with Tobias Myers being sent down. Slim Shady, I'm actually started writing a Rays Ramblings piece. It'll be up later today at fantasyguru.com. The answer to your question is no. It makes a lot of sense, but the problem they're running into there is that Woodruff should be back this week. Aaron Savali is extremely close to being promoted as well. Myers, who they just demoted, could always be called back too. Basically, Woodruff and Savali, I think, are in the way of Jacob. So Mizorowski has been fantastic in the minors. He's been dominant. He really couldn't have performed much better than he has to date. But with veterans like Woodruff and Savali there, and Patrick pitching pretty well, you can add him. I mean, he's going to be seen at some point. And, you know, there's no telling how long Woodruff will hold up, or how Savali will, fare in his return. And Patrick's pitching over his head, okay. But right now, it's just tough. Even if they go to a 6-man rotation, once Savali and Woodruff are there, so tough to add him because we just don't know. But he is one of these players, Mizorowski, who, when he's called up, we're going to get the 25% expenditure on FAAB. So it's up to you there. And then another question from Kyle: Glasnow or Kirby for an IL stash? I'd say Kirby. Both Snell and Glasnow, as we talked about on this show last week, were supposed to throw on Friday. And they didn't. They're both getting more tests run today. We should have a much better understanding later today or tomorrow with these two guys, Snell and Glasnow, but it's not looking good. I mean, we're still not hearing surgery or long-term or anything like that. But I was thinking this in particular with Blake Snell, because with Glasnow, it's like I'm sore and I can't get the thing. In the case of Snell, he's got the shoulder issue. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal. May not even have needed to stint on the IL. He's now gone like 5 weeks without throwing the ball. May is gone for Snell. Best case scenario, May is gone. In most of June, in the best case scenario, like a month from now, would be an absolute best case scenario for Blake Snell to be back on the hill. That's best case. I don't know if that's even reasonable. And again, we're going to get an update because they're going to see doctors today. I'd go with Kirby. Kirby is younger than Glasnow. He's trending in the right direction. He's already been out for a couple of months as he's worked his way slowly back from the shoulder issue. Glasnow, we're still uncertain what exactly is going on, what the answer is. I'm going with Kirby. So that'd be my answer to that question, Kyle. All right, let's talk some FAAB. Each week on Monday, we talk a little bit of FAAB, as you can see there on the screen. Those are the results in this FAAB spending. $100 to spend in labor. This is a traditional 5x5 league. You have $100 to spend. You have to keep money left at the end of the season because you cannot add any players for $0. So you always have to keep a little bit so that leads to some lower bids throughout the week or weeks. $100 to spend here. Cade Horton, we just talked about. Horton, I was able to add in the FSGA league last week, so I didn't have to play this rat race game. As you can see here, Cade Horton, $28 to Baseball Prospectus. The fail bids, 3, 4, 5, and 13. Why wasn't Horton spent more aggressively on? Because there's the uncertainty of how long he's going to stick around. When Imanaga is healthy, I added Horton off the waiver wire after the this in FSGA is the one league we run waivers on Sunday night through FAAB, and then Monday morning for like 3 hours the waiver wire is open. So I had him for nothing last week. Totally good on that. 28% of your budget, that's significant. Like that is, you can see further down with me. I got Chris Paddock for $4. To me, that's not even I mean, 7 times as much money for a guy that doesn't profile to be much better than Chris Paddock. More dominant, sure, but more questions about his role, more questions about how many starts is he going to make. And again, Chris Paddock I got for $4. So to me, that's a slam dunk win for me in the comparison. Now, if Cade Horton sticks in this rotation and all of his talent coalesces, he's going to be better than Chris Paddock. I mean, no doubt about that. But it's a significant price to pay, 7 times greater price to me. That's just not worth it. And again, you never know how this is going to go. It's not. That's the fun, the nature of FAAB, and it's the disappointing, frustrating part of FAAB too. Obviously, the baseball prospectus team would have felt, if they bid 18, they still would have cleared the competition by a significant amount. It's just how it happens. I did that earlier this season with Chad Durbin. Just how it goes. Jake Myers went for $5. A ton of bids there for Myers. 3-2-2, 3-1, 3-3. Myers has hit really well. I mean, what is the last 2 weeks? He's been just killing it. Now, he's not as good an offensive player as it appears. The last 2 weeks, he's hitting 380 with an 1100 OPS. And his overall numbers are pretty good. 7 steals, batting .290. He's really in the Astros lineup for his defense. His bat has been terrific to date. He's not going to be any better than he's been to this point in time. In fact, it's very reasonable, if not outright likely, that there's a pullback in his performance the rest of the way. But at this price point, with injuries, go for it. I bid on Myers myself in the league. In fact, you know what? I think this is the league. Yeah, this is the league. I was one of the $3 bids or $2 bids. Let's pull it up. Let me be accurate with you all so I don't make spout out on my rear end. Where is it? I had a $3 bid. So I was the $3 bid on Jake Myers. I was one of the $3 bids. I did end up with Ernie Clement for $2. Let's talk about Ernie Clement for $2. Why? Because my team sucks. And my team is bad. Okay, I think let me verify this. I was in last place yesterday. Yeah, this is really bad. And my pitching is 7th in the league, so my pitching is good. My hitting is 2nd at the bottom. And you look at this team, I haven't had Ronald Acuna back. He's supposed to have been back by now. That's hurt. Lost Tristan Casas, who was bad and then hurt his knee. Chris Bryant was my last round pick, flamed out. Kyle Higashioka was my backup catcher, flamed out. Garrett Mitchell was supposed to be going 15-15, 2020. He's on the injured list. My offense has just been terrible. So I added Ernie Clement here, and Ernie Clement will go into my lineup. I should do that right now, actually. Let's make that move right before we have an illegal lineup. He has to go into my lineup in this league anyway. That's another thing. If you add a player in LABR, they have to go into your lineup. But I've got Max Muncy sitting there, and Max Muncy's so bad. I mean, Max Muncy's hitting 190 with a home run. He's so bad, I needed the third base eligible player. And Clement qualifies at second base, third base, and shortstop, which is terrific, absolutely terrific news. But I'm to the point where, I might have to start dropping Max Muncy here in a bit. Don't want to do it. I'm not going to drop Max Muncy. I'll drop Blake Krim, who I took a chance on last week and discussed earlier. So I'm not dropping Max Muncy. But if you're dropping Max Muncy of the Dodgers in a 10-team league, I can't argue against you. Zach DeZenzo for $4, a bunch of failed bids, 3-3, 2-2, 1-1. Cam Smith, how's that going, folks? You were all warned. I don't know. DeZenzo looks like he's basically taking over. Smith is not playing consistently, striking out a ton. He had a good week. And Jordan Romano went for $4 here. We just talked about Romano. So a little bit aggressive spend, but again, get your guy. Don't have an issue with that at all. My team in this league, I've got Luke Jackson as my reserve reliever. So I think that's... Why did I not make the changes this morning? Go, Ray. Jeez. I don't know. Anyway, just talking to myself here. Trey Sweeney went for $3. Trey Sweeney, another multi-position guy who has been killing it for the Tigers of late. The Tigers are getting close to welcoming back Matt Vierling, a couple of weeks down the road. Hopefully Parker Meadows is get back. With all the success that Javier Baez has had, a guy like Sweeney, I just don't know where he fits. But right now, totally worth it. His bat is on fire. And he's, again, a multi-position guy in some setups. Hunter Dobbins for $3. Dobbins will be in this rotation until it gets healthy. Once the Red Sox welcome back Cutter Crawford, once Walker Buehler's back, could be at the end of this week, Dobbins could lose his spot. Ryan Nelson for $3. Ryan Nelson is kind of in that swingman role right now for the Diamondbacks. And we saw this last year down the stretch, he was another guy that I picked up in TOUT Wars. If he's locked into the rotation long-term, he's going to be very effective. He's not locked into the rotation long-term, though. He's kind of in and out, but I don't mind this addition right now, playing the long game there. Addison Barger for $2, some failed bids there for the same price point. Barger has really gotten hot the last week. There was an article that came out, people just realizing he changed his swing up from last year, a multi-position guy for the Blue Jays, and getting a chance to play right now with Jimenez out. Again, hard to see him in the lineup daily when Jimenez is healthy, but you know, he is producing, and as we say all the time, you produce, you play. Yohan Moncada for $2. Who cares? Stephen Kolek, he will be in the article today. He went for $2, by the way. He had that complete game shutout against the Rockies. I'll have him in the article, the Rays Ramblings piece today at fantasyguru.com, so check out for that. Bo Naylor for $1, totally fine. Bruce Elder for $1, Daniel Schneemann for $1. I like this bid. Schneemann is obviously performing over his head right now. We talked a lot about him on the show on Friday, Elite Sports Game Time at 8:10 Eastern. Jess and I talked about him. The last month, he's hitting 345 with 1,000 OPS. And while none of that is who he is, he's in the second spot of the order between Kwan and Ramirez. Like Schneemann, might qualify at third base, outfield, and second base. Good addition at this price point in this setup. He doesn't qualify at third base in our setup, which is why I added Clement instead of him. Let's see here. Tyrone Taylor for $1, good addition there. Kyron Paris for $1. Paris hasn't hit, or hasn't really produced in a month. Continues to play on a daily basis though. So, and there is talent there, but you know, so right now, Randy Vasquez for $1. I don't care about that at all. Okay, fast betting for the FSGA. The FSGA, I'm in much better place. I was in third place yesterday. Fell to fifth today. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? My injured list in this league is Justin Martinez, who we talked about earlier, and AJ Puck. So that sucks. This is one of the leagues where I did the tandem thing, and I lost the closer because they're both hurt. So that hasn't helped out at all. But actually not dealing with any injuries on the offensive side of things, dealing with some poor performances. But there were no moves that I made this week. I got back Francisco Alvarez recently. Jordan Lawlar, who was on my bench. Here we go. We'll give Jordan Lawlar a chance to play. I added Tyrone Taylor last week. 2 weeks ago, I added Tyrone Taylor. So I didn't have any moves to make, which is why you don't see my name on this list. In the FSGA, it's a 14-team mixed league, $1,000 to spend. This is the league where there's open waiver wires on Monday for like 3 hours. Miguel Andujar went for $48, as you can see there. No one else gave a damn about Miguel Andujar. 5, 7, 1, and 3. To me, Andujar is a player that is always on the cusp of being replaced. He's the organization has nothing invested in Andujar. He's just a guy at this point of his career. Is performing effectively. He's hitting 300, but 2 home runs and 100 at bats. You know, I would not have spent $48 on him in any format. I might have done 4 or 8. And as you can see there, most of the other people in the room went that same price point. Leo Tavares went for 37. Colton the Wolfman left in the number 37. Remember we talked about this? Vary your bid points, and I know they do, but vary your bid points because they went 37 on multiple guys here, multiple outfielders. Tavares and Jacob Young. Jacob Young obviously is a speed-first kind of player. He has got, he's hitting 220 this year with 5 steals. Like that. Again, we're trying to address the category there, so you know I'm not going to bash an addition there of a guy that can obviously steal 8, 9, 10 bases in a month. Leo Tavares went to Seattle. He's going to get a chance to play, it seems like, with Robles out on the shelf. Obviously was released by the Rangers, now with Seattle. He hasn't hit at all here for most of the year, but he does have speed. He's got 7 steals already. He can steal 20-plus bases. He can be a 260, 70 hitter. Not a bad price point because, again, in this league, we have aisle spots. And we also start 5 outfielders. Daniel Schneemann went for 31, so 2-3%, kind of the same spot. Here, Yohan Moncada, like Dr. Roto loves him some Yohan Moncada. I don't care how good Yohan Moncada does or doesn't do, just not no. You know what I mean? Just sometimes you got to just say no, and I'm just going to say no. He's hitting 286 with a couple home runs in 6 games since he came back. Don't care. Have at it, everyone else. Ryan Nelson to Dr. Roto again. So Ryan, obviously Dr. Roto has a plan here, getting the same guys in multiple leagues. I like that strategy. We talk about that a lot. If you've identified players you want, go for it. You don't need to diversify. People say, well, Ray, if I added McConnell in this league, should I add someone else in the other league? Again, I'm not adding McConnell in any league, but if that was your guy, add him in multiple leagues. Dr. Roto's doing that, so I appreciate that. Brett Beatty went for 18 to Ronis, a bunch of failed bids, 1, 3, 3, and 12 on Beatty. Beatty obviously has really improved here of late, driving the baseball. Luis Angel Acuna's around. They're running Mauricio still coming back. Beatty, he's done enough to be of interest in a 14-team mixed league with corner infield, middle infield, 5 outfielders. We start 14 offensive players in this league. But still, again, it's 18, it's $2, 2% of your budget. Who cares? So, decent enough addition there. Hayden Birdsong for 14. Birdsong's pitched really well. He's just in that nebulous middle reliever zone. We talked about Layden Raup on the show, and he actually performed better last time out. I don't think the Giants are considering making a change in the rotation right now. So Birdsong is just a long-term ad for some strikeouts. Tim Elko was awarded for $9. I got an Elko question in Discord. He's been promoted by the White Sox. Not even a top 30 White Sox guy. He was having a good run in the minors this year. No reason to think he can't carve out a full-time role with the White Sox. The White Sox doing what they should, playing a young guy. Pay attention, Rockies. Playing a young guy, but, NL only. AL only, sure, mixed league like this. Again, failed bids of $7, $9, 1% bid. People just throwing darts, they're taking a shot. Joey Ortiz for 5, Luis Arias for 7, Kolek for 5, Santiago Espinal for 5, Carlos Narvaez for 5, and Reese Hins for $1. We talked about Hins last Friday if you missed that discussion. That would be episode 390, 395, 396? What are we on here? What do we got here? 396? 397, yeah, it would have been episode 396 if I could learn to read. Okay, Tout Wars. $1,000 to spend. You can add players for $0. It has to be through the process of FAAB, though. The waiver wire is never open. In this league, we replace batting average on base percentage. We replace wins with innings. We replace saves with solds. In this league, where am I? I was second the other day. I'm dropped down to third in this league now. I'm 2.5 points out of second to Greg Jewett. So we'll see how that's going. Ryan Boyd leading the way right now. He's got a really good team. So I'm in third place in this setup. 15-team mixed league, $1,000 to spend here. As you can see further down there, I dropped Kenley Jansen. Ray, what are you doing? It's a Solds league. So there's plenty of guys on the waiver wire that are going to match the 26 saves that Kenley Jansen's going to have. He's no longer the dominant arm he once was. Not the ratios, and there was a bad outing in there that kind of ruined things. But Jansen's kind of just a dude. And looking at my team here, I've got Chris Martin, Brian Abreu, Aroldis Chapman. I have some really good options. Trying to build some depth in the starting pitching rotation, so I went with Chris Paddock. He faces Baltimore this week, as we talked about earlier. Paddock is somebody that, Jeffrey Springs has kind of been, and, Max Scherzer's been hurt. So I'm just looking to add a little bit more depth on the pitching side of things. Paddock, by the way, who threw 7 innings of beautiful baseball against the Giants his last time out. He gave up 1 run in the 7 1/3 innings. Was just terrific. Since he got bombed in that first outing against the White Sox, when he gave up 9 runs, here are the earned run totals: 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1. And though everyone wants Festa and Zebby Matthews to get called up and take a spot in the rotation, Paddock is pitching very well. And in fact, Paddock is pitching better than Simeon Woods Richardson. So if the Twins are going to make a move, and I got to remember, and I wrote about Paddock in the preseason over at FG, all preseason long, everyone was talking about Chris Paddock with this team, and they loved Chris Paddock. They loved what he was doing. They loved his training, his preparation. There was talk of him throwing 160, 70 innings this year. And I think a lot of people missed that storyline. And though that first outing was horrific and the second outing wasn't very good against Houston, he's been really good since. In his last 4 outings, he's got a 2.80 ERA and a 1.08 WHIP. 4 outings. And again, this is 15 strikeouts in 22 innings, so this is nothing fantastic. I added him for $36, again, 3-4%. It's nothing fancy. He faces Baltimore this weekend. Baltimore is just in a funk. They're just not producing offensively much at all. So I think the matchup is good. So we'll see there. And again, that's the reason I made that move. If you look below me, Greg Jewett added, released Trent Grisham and picked up Evan Carter. Let me read that again. The guy who's in third place right now released Trent Grisham and added Evan Carter. Oh my God. Yeah, I've been saying this a lot, and this is why this is the difference between a lot of the leagues I'm in and some of the leagues you're in. And this is why when I answer the question, sometimes my answer might not always be the answer you're expecting. Trent Grisham being dropped in your league is crazy, right? I mean, he's got 10 home runs. He's got 366 on base percentage. Oh my gosh, what are we doing here? But the fact of the matter is, the last 3 weeks, he's hitting 229. He's got more strikeouts than walks. And the on base percentage down to 339. Yeah. Trent Grisham is not going to be this guy long term. Plus, even though he's good defensively, Dominguez has come on here a little bit of late. Stan's getting close to a return. Like, I'm not saying Grisham's going to be out of the lineup because they need his glove in the outfield. But so I would have personally held on to Grisham. I wouldn't have dropped him. But I understand the move to Carter, who's young, who's exciting, and who's been effective here to start his career. $45 on Carter. You had also picked up Doug Baldwin. Okay, you get a backup catcher. Remember, 15-team league, 2 catcher start. Okay, that's fine. Matt Cedarstrom disabled. Teoscar Hernandez added Reese Hines for $9. Remember, that's not even 1% of a $1,000 budget. Going back up to the top of the list, Schneeman for $36. To Zach Steinhorn, he also got Lorenzen for $38. And Garver, reserve Garver, and added Elias Diaz, who I dropped in that league, I think. I think it's the league I dropped Diaz last week. Lorenzen, let's look at the problems. Lorenzen looked fantastic. He pitched the best game of his season. I think I saw it was the first time he's thrown 7 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts in his career. Like, totally out of nowhere against the Red Sox. His next start is scheduled to be against, where are we at here? Lorenzen against Houston. Houston's in a little bit of a funk. They're not going to have Alvarez to start the week. They may or may not have Altuve back by Wednesday. So not a bad addition. Again, he went for what was his price point? His was 38. I got Paddock for 36. So same exact idea Zach Steinhorn had, almost the exact same price point as well. Derek Van Riper added Sweeney for 22, Barger for 22, Kershaw for 37. We talked about the first 2 hitters, talking about Kershaw. Again, this is a innings pitch league instead of a wins league, so I think that has to be looked at with Kershaw and Dingham a little bit. We also have a scenario in this league where this is one of those leagues where if you add a player, they have to be in your lineup. So DVR is going to have to take a 0 this week for Kershaw. Again, that's their strategy to that. Zach Steinhorn did that in this league, I think, a couple weeks ago. There's a strategy to that. It's less than ideal. But if Kershaw is a banger, then – and by the way, I don't know if you saw it or not. Kershaw made a play. It was remarkable. It was actually a pretty remarkable play and leads you to think he's fully healthy. There was a chopper hit toward third base. He came off the mound, picked up the ball, spun around, and threw the guy out at first base. Like, it was a great play. And I'm like, whoa, Clayton, what are you doing, bro? Like, so I got to feel pretty good about Clayton Kershaw at this point in time physically. Let's see here. Further down the list, Narvaez for 0, who cares? Kasparis for 41. That's pretty aggressive because, again, Kershaw's on the cusp of returning. We don't know, as we discussed with Glasnow and Snell, but we do know with Kershaw that he's 10 days away, something like that. So Kasparis, that's the most expensive of the 3 guys, Lorenzen, Paddock, and Kasparis. Kasparis is the least likely one of the 3 to be in the rotation in 2 weeks. He is set up to face, well, that's a thing. Okay, so he's set to face the Angels, but Kershaw is technically eligible to be activated on Sunday. So we'll see how that one goes for Scott Pianowski. I also added Kolek for 25. We'll talk about Kolek again in the article over at FG. Taylor was added for $14 by John L. Horton for 94, so an aggressive spend here. Again, too aggressive for me, given the other options that were available, simply because we just don't know what the workload is going to look like with the Horton. And this is, again, an innings pitch league. So like last time out, he came in relief, and that was great, right? He got a win because he was a long reliever. He's throwing 4 innings. It's good for his fantasy outlook for the victory total, but this is not a league that uses victories. This league uses innings pitch, so something to think about. Depends on your setup. Elko for 442 to Siege. Good luck. Years ago in this league, I spent $420, I think it was, $412, $408 on Juan Soto. It's like the only time I've ever spent that much on a rookie, and he was spectacular. Maybe Siege will catch lightning in a bottle here, but as we talked about earlier, that number, if that number was 42, 442. Oof. Nolan Jones, who I dropped, was added for $4 to Siege for Noel. Totally fine with that move. Jock Peterson to Mickey Moniak. Mickey Moniak's been a little bit better of late. Again, Zach Veen's not getting called up, I guess. Rockies doing the Moniak thing. The Rockies are set to face Texas and in Arizona, the Diamondbacks. So a couple of good places to hit this week for him. So there's a review of what we got going on for the FAAB. Let's see here, a couple final thoughts. I'm noticing here some questions here. Chris D says, what are your thoughts on Ryan Pressly? Is he possible losing the closer's role? Absolutely could possibly be losing the closer's role. The problem for the Cubs is that Porter Hodge has been spotty himself. His velocity's been fluctuating as well. And again, I said this when this happened, when they left Pressly in there to get annihilated. I don't understand that. Okay, this is not a 23-year-old who's just soaking up innings. This is a guy who's been an all-star caliber reliever, and you're just going to leave him in there to get destroyed. Something's going on. I don't like that. But again, Hodge, fluctuating performance and fluctuating velocity. So, you know, ideally you don't drop Pressly. If you're in a Solds league, you can drop him. If you're in a Saves league, I would try to hold on to Pressly. Tony W says, Ray, the Rockies are the worst offense on the road. Very true. They have 6 games on the road this week. Would you keep Goodman and or Beck in the 2 lineups versus Jesus Sanchez? Thanks for the advice. Very good question here. Yeah, the Rockies have the lowest WOBA in baseball on the road. They're terrible. They've actually been somewhat productive. I think they're like 15th or something in WOBA the last week. Maybe it's even better than that. I don't care. They're going on the road. In my opinion, Sanchez, let's look at Florida real quickly. Florida, Chicago, they're facing Chicago and Tampa. Tough to make this decision on the road, but let's see here. They're set to face, so it's Chicago, righty, righty, righty. Tampa Bay, righty, righty, righty. So we're going Jesus Sanchez. Yes, I think that the guy we sit is, that one's a little bit more difficult. We're going to answer this question the following way, Tony. If you have no interest whatsoever in speed, I'm okay with Goodman. But I'm going to go Beck. I'm going to just say it this way. I'm just going to go Beck. I'm going to go Beck and Sanchez, and also say this, Tony, that Goodman's value as a UT guy or as a first baseman is way lower than as a catcher. So he's been really good this year and very effective. If you're not using Goodman consistently as a catcher, which obviously you're not here, you could consider trading him because there's someone in your league that would love to use him as their catcher, I would have to think. As a UT or first base option, Goodman is just a guy. As a catching option, he's very intriguing. So let's go with Beck and Sanchez for you this week. Tony, hope that helps you out. So there's the show for today. Appreciate everyone watching, being a part of the show, asking questions, commenting. Tell a friend about the show if you could. I would love to grow this a little bit, especially as we start to head into football season. I'll be back tomorrow here on the show. We'll have Aranda Marsal. We'll talk some football with him. We'll talk some baseball for about the first half hour. Today I'll have bets out at fantasyguru.com. I will have my Raise Plays DFS article up at fantasyguru.com. I will have that article that I mentioned multiple times here, the Raise Ramblings piece for seasonal, up at fantasyguru.com. As you can see there on the screen, get everything we do for baseball, DFS, wagering, and seasonal. All of it, one low price, $75, everything we do. All the Discord rooms, access to all the articles, access to all the great minds we have working over there, and become part of the Elite Mafia, which is the largest active community in fantasy sports. So hopefully you'll join us there. You can always send a note, support@fantasyguru.com, or click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Thanks for all the comments and questions, everybody. Thanks for keeping it positive. Thanks for moving this conversation in a good direction, as we talk about all the time. So much negativity in the world. Love the fact that the comments here are always positive, so thank you much for that. We'll see you again here tomorrow on Fantasy Sports Daily at 12 o'clock Eastern. Remember, Monday through Friday here for the free show. I'm Ray Flowers. I'll be back tomorrow with Aranda Marsal talking some football in the second half of the hour. After talking baseball, to start the show, you've been watching Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. Have a great week. Let's go.